what is it like to be a personal injury lawyer? Because I would imagine it's hard to deal with other people's difficulties. Like you talked about a psychiatrist, right? Where you're having to, people are basically downloading all their issues onto like your mind, and you as a professional have to help them. So I would imagine it's hard to see the difficulties faced by people when they come to you. I'd imagine a lot of them are hurt, upset, probably in debt because of medical bills. They're scared. They don't really know what to do. Can you tell me a little bit more about like, what's that experience?
Great question. And your knowledge of this shows me your knowledge of my business, because you've heard these things before. So you're tapping right into it. So, and I work with this with my staff and my people. You got to remember that those people are in crisis because they can't work. They're hurt. They're worried. They're scared. They're afraid because it's life interrupted, whether it's a car wreck or a slip and fall or a med mal or whatever. It's a big injury, and they have a financial hit, and they're coming to me. So I have to sit next to them. I have to be with them in that, and I have to listen to them. I can't let myself get too emotionally involved right away. Otherwise, it'd be a long day. It already is a long day.
Right, I'm sure.
And so you have to listen to them, be with them, and then you have to zone in, and because they're not calling you. They're not calling me to say, woe is me, and me to commiserate. They want legal advice. So,
right.
And people are surprised when they hear me talking to clients how I say, okay, hold on, I'm going to pause you. And I jump into the legal advice and I say, here's the deal. Here's what you have to do. You may not want to hear it, but here's the deal. You have a tough case. You have a good case. You have a tough case on liability, meaning it may be hard to prove damages, or you have a good case on liability, but there's no insurance, or you have a good case on liability, but did that cause the problem you were there for? Because it's a med mal case, and you were already there because you were having a medical issue. So it's hard in that I have to listen to them, and I have to give them. I tell people, I say, listen, you're going to take a financial hit, and you're not going to get the money back for 6 months or a year.
Right.
There's a tension between good money and easy money. If you want the good money, you got to wait because you got to fight these people because they don't open the pocketbooks.
And we'll get to the insurance questions here in a bit.
We will. But the point is, I tell them, like, you know what? You got to give up that truck you just bought. Let that go back to the bank. Or you may need to move to a cheaper apartment. Or you may need to do this. You need to take care of your financial stuff. And they don't, and they think they should call a lawyer and get a bunch of money right away. That's not how it works.
Right.
So you're dealing, and then they're afraid about their physical condition, and I have to help. You should go to this. I know a lot about the medicine. I do doctors' depots all the time. So I'm telling them, go to this doctor, not that doctor. Can I suggest this? You might want to do this, blah, 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 blah. And you're navigating insurance and their insurance. And then you have this all the time. It's like, well, I was with my friend. I don't want to sue my friend. And when we ride in cars or when we go visit people at their houses, it's not, we know those people. So of course you were with your friend. Of course you were at your friend's house when the deck collapsed or blah, 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 whatever the circumstances. So you got to walk with them. You got to cut to the chase and give them the legal advice that they need, and they'll value it later on.
How do you generally see people react when you explain the timelines? So for example, you just said like, hey, you might have to move. You might, because that's some of that stuff sounds kind of scary because like you said, it's a life interrupter. So how do most people react to that? When you say, hey, look, it might be 3 to 6 months if you really want the true, I guess, what you're entitled to from a hard-fought settlement.
99% they love it. They love it when I interrupt them, because I do, and then I give them the legal advice, and they're like, oh wow, that's great. That's great. And I always say, listen, is there any question in the forefront of your mind you need answered right now before you can listen to me? Because the question is, the answer to your question is, are they going to be able to listen to you? And that was your question to me, just was, do they listen to you? And they do. They love it. First, I clear their brain about whatever is in the front of their frontal lobe, and then they can't listen. And then I answer that, and then we move on to the next thing. And I explain to them, listen, if you want to, it's like the joke, you know how to settle a case for 20 grand? Start with $1 million case and mess it up, right? So I tell them, I say, listen, I can get you 10, 20 grand right away, but this is your only time to recover. This is the only thing you'll ever have. Are they going to offer you a little money? Yes, because they know there's unequal bargaining power. That claims adjuster has 1,000 cases and you got one. This is your only time to recover. You need to make sure this, and this. There's other ways. It's worth the financial. And then if they push back at me, I do things like that. What's the most money you've ever had in your bank account? And they'll tell me. I say, well, here's what I'm going to put. If you wait a little bit longer, isn't that worth it? So you can put things in perspective. And it's hard to think about money that way. But when you put it in a perspective in terms of their life, I'd never have a problem.